Hello, my name is Jerry Roach. I'm editor of eLearning Magazine, and we're here today with Keith Devlin from Stanford University, who's one of the winners of our Learning 100 Awards this year, 2013. Keith, can you tell us a little bit about HStar, which is the program that you won the award for?
Yeah, HStar stands for Human Sciences and Technologies Advanced Research Institute. We founded it in about 2006, although it has a lineage that goes back maybe 15, 20 years. There's this long history at Stanford of interdisciplinary research centers. In fact, that's one of the reasons Stanford is so successful, both in research and commercial spin-offs. We have these very broad spread interdisciplinary research institutes that come and go. Actually, they completely reform. It wasn't unusual when we took something previously and we recreated it to HStar in 2006 to reflect what was happening out there in the world. And what we saw happening was that the boundaries between text and video and audio and even interpersonal interactions, they were all blurring. It was all becoming much of a muchness. And so we said we wanted to focus the research on the campus, and we are campus-wide, to focus the research on bringing together people from very disparate disciplines to do groundbreaking interdisciplinary research that looks ahead on a time scale of between 5 to 10 years. We're not like the Media Lab, which looks 20 years out. We tend to be very practical at Stanford. Well, the Media Lab's practical, but they're very futuristic. We tend to focus on the medium range of what's coming down the pike 5, 7, 8 years from now. And what we saw happening in the early 2000s was this blending of video games and various kinds of social media that were coming along. And we decided we needed to sort of stay ahead of that curve, which Stanford likes to do. And HStar does that. When we put it together, we built on the fact that we've had many years of working with large corporations and with industry. HStar does a lot of work with industry, mostly through our MediaX Industry Affiliates program. But that's just another brand for HStar, if you like. We also work with several foreign governments, particularly in Northern Europe, where they are very strong on user-centered design, the Scandinavian countries, Estonia, Finland. And we took our long experience of working with companies in different countries and with governments to create a framework where we could do the kind of research that was really relevant to them. And a typical case is this. Let's say a large corporation comes to us. If they come to Stanford in the first place, the real question they have is, what business will I be in 5 years from now? They're really asking that question when you parse it out. And what we do is we put together very broad teams of researchers, some of the best people in the world we can draw on, and we sort of brainstorm initially with the company, and then we get graduate students to do short research papers, white papers, and do research that looks ahead in this blue sky way at where that company might want to be 5 or 10 years down the line, what they should be having in their skunk works at the back office, just to sort of prepare the way for the way things are going to change.
So what you're doing is not really academic research, it's more really applied research.
It's absolutely applied research, but it's the kind of research that by definition a large company cannot do. For example, we did a lot of research with various automobile companies, both German and Japanese, without naming specific companies, although it's not a secret. And of course, they have huge expertise in both automobile engineering and design for people. But what they don't have are experts on human reactions, drowsiness. We have a big sleep institute at Stanford. So one of the things the automobile manufacturers want to do, especially with an aging base of buyers, people getting older, like ourselves, I guess, and we're at the stage where we might start to doze off. Well, you've got all of these sensors in the automobiles already, you can put more in. So one of the questions the automobile companies had is, how do we detect when a driver's going to become sleepy before their eyelids start to, you can easily check when the eyelids go down. Can we tell beforehand? Can we measure to see what's happening? And if so, how can that car respond to make that driver aware without sort of jolting them? The last thing you want to do is ring a bell because the driver will go, "Ugh!" and you're off the road. So there's a lot of subtle questions involved. But as soon as you start asking questions like that, yes, they are technology related to do with what goes in the automobile. They're also human sciences related into detecting what's going on with that driver. But there are legal ramifications as well. You're measuring human physiological responses. What if you pick up the fact that that person might be about to have a heart attack? Now, that automobile is not a registered medical practitioner. What does it do with that data? Does it ignore it? They can be sued. Does it act on it? They can be sued. You'd better have the legal team in there. We've got a great law school at Stanford. The business models are going to be different. How do you market something like that? So we bring in the Graduate School of Business at Stanford. So at Stanford, we can draw on all of this different expertise that an automobile company doesn't have. But it needs them at this stage, and it may need to hire them full-time down the line. But at this stage, it's most efficient for the automobile company to rely upon our network and our framework of expertise for that research 5 to 7 years down the line. And as that 5 to 7 window approaches, they can then, of course, staff up on the expertise they'll need. But this is a very efficient way for companies to look ahead 5 to 7 years, and that's the niche that we are occupying in the university industry research space.
It sounds like you've got a great job, and number one, interesting. I mean, it's just interesting stuff, you know. And you've probably given us just one example. There's probably another.
There's lots of examples from the banks, from the media companies. We've worked with some of the big news organizations, the big movie companies. We work with all different kinds of companies. When a company is large enough that it knows that it'll be able to survive or could survive changes in the marketplace by just moving its focus, then very often they'll come to a university like MIT or Stanford. We think we're better at doing the job, but we also are able to pull up on not just Stanford's breadth, but all of Silicon Valley. We have extremely good relationships with most of the companies in Silicon Valley, so we can pull experts in from the companies if we don't have them in-house at Stanford. But yeah, I'm basically paid to be a kid in a sandbox, and I love it. Absolutely awesome kind of job to do. It's one of the things you can do with a PhD in mathematics. People often ask me, what can you do with a degree in mathematics? And my answer is, anything you darn well please.
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations on your award.
Very pleased to receive the award.
We hope to see you back here for years to come.
I'd love to keep coming back. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Keith.